Hey guys, Gerbera again, this time with a review of the 134th scale high-grade Universal Century Gerbera Tetra from the Gundam 0083 OVA series. And this is quite an unfortunate mobile suit. First it was meant to be a Gundam, then it was scrapped. Then it was made, flew around a little bit, and then was blown up by a Gundam. Oh, the irony. But moving on to the color scheme, and judging by the color scheme, your first guess would be that the pilot was Shah Aznable, or maybe Quattro Begina at that time already. So yeah, a very salmon pink colored mobile suit. Well, it's almost entirely salmon pink with the exception of the gray. And we're not just getting one shade of gray, we're getting two shades of gray. One shade is slightly greenish for almost all the gray you see on here, and then we also get a normal gray for the color here. This piece of the backpack, not the thruster, and also for the beam machine gun. And here you can really see the difference. This has kind of a green shine to it, while this is just the normal gray. And those are all the different colors we're getting, well, with the exception of the clear beams. And we're going on to the stickers we're getting. Getting some black ones, one for the back of the eye, and then a black one for this little detail over there. We're getting this green one goes over there, then that green one goes here, and we're getting not one, not two, but three different mono eye stickers. They're all identical, and you've only got to use one. Why is it that they're giving us three, you ask? Well, my guess is, little spoiler here, the mono eye isn't going anywhere. It's static, not moving, but I guess it would be kind of difficult because, yeah, it's a very sharp oval shape rather than a round shape like the Zaku, so I guess it was kind of to be expected. But hey, if you want to move the mono eye, it means peeling off that sticker and sticking it somewhere else. And if you do that enough times, eventually that sticker isn't gonna stick anymore, so they gave you two spare ones, which is, I guess, the best thing they could do, given the situation. And oh yeah, we have a red one, which goes on the beam machine gun. Unfortunately, we don't get the nice clear marking stickers, so we're gonna move on to the articulation. Head goes up, down, little bit of a chicken movement going on, but not a lot. Rotates about that far until the back of the head hits those massive shoulders, which also have quite a lot of articulation going on. These boosters, they go up and down, and then the thrusters themselves also go a little bit up and down. You've got quite far forwards and backwards movement going on. And then the articulation is a little bit more complex in there. So on this ball joint, it's also unhinged, so it goes up by that far. And then the arm individually goes up like so. And then in order to rotate around, the arm is individually jointed from the shoulder part, and that is because the arm itself can only go out about that far, and only that far when you want it to go straight. So in order to compensate for that, the shoulder itself will also rotate around all the way if you fight with it a little bit. Because yeah, it sometimes gets a little bit stuck on the chest piece. So if you put a little bit of effort into it, the arm has a nice movement range. Also turns around below the shoulder, bends at one joint for the usual 90 degrees. Then the hand is on a ball joint, wiggles around, turns around, and does everything a ball joint does. But I guess they really stopped using the double elbow joint. They really have to return that. And then we have a double ball joint here on top and at the bottom. but they're not doing a hell of a lot. Well, the top one almost does nothing, so it goes side to side, but as you can see, almost all the movement is coming from the bottom joint, whereas the top joint doesn't really seem to be doing a hell of a lot. See that it gives like a tiny bit of nudging movement, but if that's all we're going to get, they might just as well not give us it at all. And also rotates a little bit until it gets stopped, because the hip, well, it kind of goes up, so it hinders that. The legs, really far movement, because of course no front skirts, no back skirts, and no side skirts, so they really get a nice amount of articulation. Oh. So yeah, they go outwards until they pop out. Gotta put that back in there. There we go. And then they go out, not quite as much, but still a significant amount. We'll also rotate around, as you saw earlier, and will also pop out. And the knees are double jointed, but that's about all we're getting. And since it wasn't really that elaborate a setup, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. But the biggest disappointment here are the feet. If you look at the way the feet are here, you would expect to have a significant amount of movement going on, but forwards, that's all you're getting. They don't go any further. Backwards, that's about all you're getting. Side to side, well, that's decent. Rotate around about that far. So yeah, for some reason I was expecting a lot more, kinda something similar to the Zaku joint. But what's going on is the hinge here can only move backwards for some reason, and then we still have the usual ball joint down there. So yeah, we're not getting a lot of movement with the old feet. That is just a little bit disappointing. Also, why the hell are those things hollow? I mean, what, are we back in the 90s or something? For accessories, we start off with two beam sabers. As you can see, the holding hands are already on the mobile suit. When we put it in, and see, they're not gonna fall out, which is always a good start. Then we get the beam blades, which are this time very nice yellow beams. Seems like lately we do get a few more model kits with yellow beams. Put that in there. And now we can see that the hands are a little bit on the weak side, but the thing is, for some reason, if they're extended, they're going to be extremely loose, but you gotta push them in a little bit and then they are somewhat stronger. So that's what you gotta do, and then no problem at all with those beam sabers. Oh, it almost fell out. Yeah, not too much of a problem, let's put it like that. But then the real problem is storing these beams. Just like the Doven Wolf, they cannot be stored anywhere on the mobile suit. But what makes it especially worse with this kit is they're teasing us. This is where you should put the beams. And it just gets worse and worse because they actually kind of fit in there. It's just that they didn't put a connector part. They really could have just put a peg here, a hole in here, and this would have fit. Oh my god, that's really like giving us a middle finger like, hey, you can store it there, but no, you can't. So yeah, really all they should have done was something similar to what they did with the ground Gundams. This just has to open up with some kind of hinge, and then you can put the beam in there. And that would have also helped with the articulation here, because if this moved up, well, you can see the problem. This part hits the hip. So if this could have moved upwards, who knows? Then the mobile suit just might have been able to do the grand decals and not just the split. So those beam sabers end up being unfortunate. They could have easily been stored there, but they decided not to. And then the other accessory we're getting is the very nice beam machine gun. Also, we get a dedicated trigger finger hand, and as always, we also have a peg to connect it in there, so it's not going to go anywhere. Also, it's on quite an angle to make it a little bit more comfortable to hold. And posing can be a little bit tricky because, yeah, we've got those giant thrusters, and in this case, the giant vents hanging there. So getting it into a shooting pose can require a little bit of fiddling. And it is a little bit unfortunate, but if you're putting enough effort into it, you'll eventually get it into a shooting pose similar to this. And then we can pull out this hand and replace it with an open palm. Unfortunately, we're only getting the one. Oh, and here you can also see the other weapons, 2 machine guns mounted on each arm rather than the head. And well, that's all we're getting for accessories. Oh, you're supposed to be able to kind of hold it with both hands, and once again, you just gotta be a bit careful. You can do it eventually. If you kind of God. Again. So yeah, you just got to be patient and then you'll eventually be able to do it. And that's all for the weapons we're getting, but someone somewhere thought we don't have enough thrusters yet. So we're also getting the giant Sturm booster. Getting 2 extra thrusters and also 2 movable fuel tanks there on ball joints, so they will wiggle around a little bit and of course can also be disconnected in case they run out of fuel. Put that back in. And what we gotta do now is simply pop this off. Then it's kind of like a striker bag. Put that in there, and now we've got even more thrusters and slight weight issues, but there we go. Overall, it's a very light thing, unlike what you'd expect, and if you just arc him over a little bit forwards, weight isn't going to be an issue whatsoever. So, I gotta say, the Sturm booster does look pretty good. I really like the little antenna here, because it kind of reminds me of airplanes. And that's a really cool little extra detail on there. And it's just overall a really cool looking thing. If you got enough room to display it like that, it's really a nice add-on. So, that's all for the accessories. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? Well, as always, the main problem is the price. This kit comes in at about 1,800 yen retail price, and I don't know, 1,800 yen seems pretty pricey because, well, articulation is accessories are we get the basic stuff, we get a machine gun, 2 beams, a backpack attachment, so that is pretty standard and nothing special. Articulation was also nothing special, so it just begs the question, what makes this kit worth 1,800 yen when there's not a real selling point going on? It's just, like I said, it's not bad, it's not good. I guess you could rate it like somewhere around a 7 out of 10. So 1,800 yen just seems a bit too expensive. I would say it's more around the ballpark of 1,500 yen, 1,600 yen, something like that. And especially when we're comparing it to, say, the fantastically priced Doven Wolf. I mean, seriously, when you look at that and then you look at this, I'd say that this is like half the price of that, not a fraction of the price, not just a fraction of the price less. So yeah, I think that in the end it's just a little bit overpriced for what we're getting. There's nothing just too spectacular going on. Also, we didn't get any marking stickers to give us something extra for our money. And yeah, there's not a real selling point going on here. Not the price, not the accessories, not the articulation. It's just extremely meh. So I guess that all that leaves us to do now are some comparisons. And when you put it next to some standard sized high grades, you'll notice that it's not really that big a machine either. So that's not an explanation for the price either. Which once again is kinda unfortunate. Because when I put it next to the massive Zaku 3, which was 1,500 yen, the question is, once again, which looks like the most expensive machine? And I guess it is also fair to say that the difference in articulation isn't that different, especially for such a bulky machine. And when we compare it to similarly priced machines, such as the Starjagen, which is 200 yens more expensive but has a hell of a lot more accessories, or once again the Dovin Wolf, which is another 200 yen step up but comes with a shitload of accessories. Yeah, it's just kinda unfortunate. And final comparison with Shima's other mobile suit, the HGUC. And that's all for this. Oh no, wait. One thing I almost forgot about. It does come with a hole in its butt to put a stand in. So that goes on the action base number 2, which is the small scale one. And now that is really all for this review. And see you guys next time.